Today, -7 at 7:34 at the airport. Good morning, everyone. Controversial Bill 10 could become law in Alberta this week. If you've been on Twitter or Facebook, you know the Jim Prentice government's proposed legislation to deal with gay support groups for students in schools. It's facing a lot of pressure right now from critics, even dissension inside the Tory caucus itself. Third reading of Bill 10 happens this afternoon. Third reading comes after emotional debate and an amendment that opposition parties say will segregate gay students and in some cases move the support groups off of school property. The amendment follows a lot of backlash, particularly over a stipulation in the old version of the bill that would have forced students to take legal action to go to court if a request to form a gay-straight alliance group was rejected. Now, after the bill was amended, if a school board refuses to form a group, a GSA, the Minister of Education can intervene. Even with the changes, 3 Tory MLAs voted against the bill.
I will not accept anything that is short of equality. Equal but separate, equal but differently accommodated is not the answer.
There'll be a GSA somewhere outside of the school on different property, as I said, maybe in the parking lot at the 7-Eleven across the street, but not in that school. And so they will be treated separately and differently, just like the segregation laws that preceded true equality during the civil rights movement.
It's hard to be brave. It's hard to be brave. It's scary to be brave. But we're not here to be brave on behalf of ourselves. We're here to be brave on behalf of students.
The Prentice government only introducing Bill 10 on Monday this week, effectively killing Bill 202, a private member's bill introduced by Liberals' Laurie Blakeman. The Liberal bill would have forced school boards to allow gay-straight alliances if students wanted these support groups put in place. A Calgary family is pleading for your help this morning in the safe return of 25-year-old Shannon Burgess. Shannon has been missing for almost a week now. She was last seen in her apartment in Inglewood last Friday. Family members have found her cell phone, her car, which was still at home, and there's been no banking activity in her account for a week. Shannon's wallet and keys, though, were not in her apartment. If you think you've seen Shannon, please call police right away. Speaking of police, nobody did anything wrong, including officers. That's the conclusion of an investigation into how officers handled a woman driving an ATV at high speeds down Deerfoot Trail, eventually crashing into a fence. Back in October, a 21-year-old woman with mental challenges drove the family's ATV onto a highway near Gleason, eventually making her way onto northbound Deerfoot Trail. Mounties were first to follow her, then Calgary police got involved along Deerfoot. As officers tried to pull over the ATV, the woman lost control, slamming into a fence. She's now out of hospital, recovering at home. The investigation by ACER, the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team, found all of the police officers involved tried to protect the young woman and all of the other drivers on the road during the incident. Happening right now at Cape Canaveral in Florida, the launch of the Orion spacecraft has been scrubbed for today. This is a live shot. The Orion was supposed to be blasting off just after 5 o'clock this morning Calgary time. There's been some wind delays. First, a boat was in the area as well, also some gusts. And for the past little while, everything's been on hold because of a valve issue. Engineers are still working on that. The launch window was extended a couple of times today, and it was due to close at 7:44, 7 minutes from now. But Orion is actually scrubbed for today's launch. It is actually being called America's next giant leap, NASA's first attempt to send a spacecraft capable of carrying humans beyond a few hundred kilometers of Earth since the Apollo moon program. NASA wants Orion to make 2 orbits of Earth once it gets up there on its inaugural flight, then splash down in the Pacific Ocean off the Mexican Baja coast. They're going to go for another launch tomorrow. 7:38, time to focus on business. The lower price of oil continuing to impact the bottom line of Calgary companies. Business editor Mike Eppel joining us now. Mike, Canadian oil sands is the latest victim.
Yeah, the 37% shareholder in Syncrude, the oil project up in Fort McMurray, Ted, Canadian Oil Sands announcing late yesterday it was cutting its dividend by 42%. Now, keep in mind that the yesterday's trading price on Canadian Oil Sands stock at the TSX, it was paying a dividend yield of north of 11%. So this has been the talk that a lot of these companies are going to cut back on the dividend. We're seeing the stock price, though, take a tumble in reaction in the early trade this morning, down about 8% at last check. They're looking to conserve conserve cash because the price for oil is sharply lower again this morning. It's down to just $66 a barrel, very close to its recent 4-year low. Flip side to all of this, Enbridge announcing that it is going to reorganize its company and restructure some assets and spin some off into various different platforms, and they're hiking their dividend big time, 30%, and that stock is up by $8 in the opening trades this morning, north of $61 per share. We are, however, seeing a general pullback on the markets in the early trade. The CIBC's in with earnings down year over year. They still had a record-breaking 2014 overall, but the fourth quarter earnings a little shy of forecast, and the stocks down in the early trade. TD Bank, same thing, made $1.25 billion in the fourth quarter. Shares down just a little bit. It comes back to what the companies actually made and what analysts had expected them to do on a quarter-to-quarter basis. The European Central Bank, it's got nothing good to say about the outlook for next year or 2016. They're lowering expectations, and this is sort of leading to a dampening effect on the global market environment. It is filtering through to the oil trade as well this morning, and as mentioned, the price for oil taking a tumble, and of course we are seeing these 4-year lows for gasoline prices in many parts of the country, now below $1 per liter, cheaper to fill up the gas tank. In the States, in Oklahoma City yesterday, they hit $1.99 per gallon.
Whoa.
First time we've seen that in about 5 years as well. Of course, Oklahoma City, a key oil hub, so you'd expect the price to be a little bit lower there, but still much less expensive to fill up the tank just in time for Christmas.
Yeah,
Ted,
no
back to you.
kidding. Busy travel season for sure. Thanks, Mike. That's business editor Mike Apple. You can hear Mike on 660 News at 26 and 56 after the hour.
BT's Market Report is brought to you by RRP, specializing in engineering, procurement, and construction management. Rapid Response Project, where every project matters.
That's your news to 741. Still about -7 at the airport. Heading back to Taurus.